All right, we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we've got a lot to talk about in our stream. All right. If anybody's been checking their phones on the crypto markets this morning, you might see some green on the charts. That's definitely encouraging the short term. But what I want to talk about today is actually some demand for Ethereum that's kind of coming out of nowhere that not very many people are talking about, and what you need to understand about this, okay? This is pretty critical. So we're talking about that. We're going to look at a lot of the news updates that have happened in the space since yesterday. Going to answer some of your questions, take a quick peek at the crypto markets. Of course, we had a Fed meeting yesterday. We'll kind of save that towards the end, kind of the boring stuff, but definitely relevant to everything that's happening in crypto. We're going to answer some of your questions and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to know how to master blockchain step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. So we got people jumping in the chat here. We've got Automatic Beats, Ethan Seymour. I know Ethan. Hey, let's see, Lee, Adrian, Samuel, Culture Highs, Oliver, Eurobeats, Cassia. Hope I'm saying that right. Sarath, Richard, David, Martin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. So actually, really quickly, quick piece of housekeeping. I started my live stream a little bit later today. If you're a regular viewer of the live stream, we might have some changes to the stream soon. The time might change a little bit, might be a little earlier, a little bit later. So if you're, if you're a little bit thrown by the times here, we're trying to find the best possible time to do this stream. Make sure you turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter. You're gonna find out as soon as I post that link. And if we end up moving the time, you'll be able to see that. So, but once we find that sweet spot, we'll make sure that we're on time every day. So, anyways, let's jump into this. Let's talk about demand for ETH that nobody's talking about. It's kind of coming out of nowhere. So I'll post on my screen here. This came to me yesterday when I was looking on Twitter. I saw this tweet actually by Alex Fisher. Okay, so I've let me see if I can get my screen camera working here. So I've met Alex before at a conference, but I follow him on Twitter and he posted this. It's really important. So the queue for Ethereum 2.0 validators has absolutely jumped like crazy. And if you're just browsing this on Twitter, you may not even notice it in the graphic. Let me see if I can pull up my screen here. I have to resize this. But you can see that a bunch of new people, or not necessarily new people, but a bunch of new validators just jumped in the queue waiting to be activated. And it's really hard for me to even see this on my screen here. I'm going to post a link to the tweet. You can check it out in the live stream replay. But what is this and why is it important? Okay, this is a huge demand for Ethereum, especially the asset itself. That's super critical right now when a lot of people are thinking like, hey, what's going on with the entire crypto space? Is there actually demand for what's going on here? There's a ton of demand. The data here does not lie. So what is it? So basically, right now, Ethereum is moving from this transition from Ethereum that you know used today, Ethereum 1.0 to Ethereum 2.0, okay? And whenever it moves to Ethereum 2.0, it's going to proof of stake. So there's this thing called the beacon chain that's set up in the separate blockchain over there. And if you want to stake ETH, you can do it now. But what you have to do is take your ETH and move it from Ethereum 1.0 that you know and use today over to this beacon chain where they're doing Ethereum 2.0. If you've been watching the live stream, you've seen that basically we have a testnet for that. The merge for the testnet was successful. We've got the merge for Ethereum 2.0 coming up this year, okay? And so in order to get over there, you have to move your ETH, and there's a queue of people. And you can actually track the queue stats. You can see what happened basically here whenever we first launched the beacon chain. Yeah, this huge spike of people waiting to get in order to stake their ETH to become validators on the network, okay? And you kind of see it die off, okay? And then you have another big spike here of activity. And then it kind of just goes dark for months, all right? Just kind of this slow trickle of people waiting to get in. And now you're seeing this massive, massive spike of new people trying to get in to start validators. Now, whether that's multiple different people, or maybe it's, some single pile of money trying to do multiple validators all at once. Hard to say exactly from the data. But what could this mean, okay? So we'll kind of break this down. ETH, the asset itself, is super attractive on Ethereum 2.0 because of this ability to stake it, okay? In my opinion, that really limits the downside risk of holding ETH, especially if the market ends up being either choppy, sideways, or somewhat bearish for a certain time, because you can still earn yield on the asset itself. It's going to pay you, just essentially dividends or staking rewards by holding it. And of course, you wouldn't have to sell any ETH in order to get that. You wouldn't have to sell any of your principal of ETH if you wanted to use some of that as income while you're maybe the asset price was just kind of choppy or slightly bearish, okay? It's also super attractive because it's a high-quality asset that's native to the network. You're not just taking cryptocurrency and parking it in a smart contract that, some shadowy super coders, made at night in their apartment, right? You're talking about staking high-quality cryptocurrency in a high-quality network that's battle-tested and has stood the test of time. So it's super attractive in that regard, in addition to it just being, a massive network that's securing billions and billions and billions of dollars inside applications. And so basically, we're seeing a huge influx of demand here. Now, what are some reasons that this could possibly be? Well, we've got the merge coming up, which is basically we're going to take Ethereum 2.0, merge it back into Ethereum 1.0 now. And so I would expect that we'd see increased demand, headed to that time. And this could be a signal that, whoever's staking here it's betting on the merge being sooner rather than later. Okay, I just released a video yesterday talking about when I think, the merge is actually going to happen in 2022. Definitely go check out that video if you haven't already. But, if we see this influx of people sooner to the merge, they might think that it's going to happen sooner, because whenever you go to the beacon chain right now, it's a one-way street, and you cannot get your ETH back until the merge happens, and then you can pull your money back out, okay? So, a massive influx of people into this could show confidence that the merge is coming soon, because you may not want to merge, you may not want to stake your ETH and not be able to withdraw it until it's liquid. So they're maybe potentially betting on it being liquid sooner rather than later. The last major factor I think could definitely be a part of this is sort of staking pools activating more validators, or cryptocurrency exchanges activating more validators. Whatever it is, even if it's that, even if it's like cryptocurrency exchanges who let people stake, on their site, like say Coinbase lets you click a button and stake your ETH, then maybe they have to do the staking on the back end, or staking services like Rocket Pool, Lido, all these different people who offer different solutions. Somebody still has to take the ether and run the validators. And so whether it's demand from individuals or demand by proxy with these sort of intermediaries, we're seeing quite a bit of increase on this, okay? So definitely something to watch out for. This is definitely a huge demand for ETH, the asset itself, that not many people are talking about, and is super, super bullish for the adoption of the network and also the asset itself for lots of reasons. And that's primarily what I focus on, right? Is actually creating this technology that is useful to other people. And as you create the technology that's useful for other people, that gives you more demand for the tech, and that demand can accrue to the assets itself, especially for Ether. Because one of the use cases of Ether in the first place is just, it's a financial asset. You can just buy it, you can stake it, it earns you passive income, right? That's one use case among many. You can use it to pay for fees in the network, you can use it to stake in other services, you can use it to buy NFTs, whatever it is, right? But the use case to just buy it as a passive income yield-bearing asset is getting more and more attractive, especially at the price levels that we've seen ETH at recently below all-time highs. That's a more favorable risk-reward scenario for someone who wants to purchase some ETH and then use it for staking, and it's got this added bonus of being a yielding-bearing asset. So this is definitely huge, bullish for ETH, in my opinion. It's big demand that we're seeing coming into the space that not many people are talking about, and you definitely want to keep an eye on this. Okay, so you can monitor the validator queue. You can use these analytics tools to kind of keep an eye on this, but this is definitely a big spike that kind of came out of nowhere that I wanted to keep you all aware of, because it's a pretty big deal. All right, so let's talk about a lot of the things that have kind of been going on in this space. Somebody says, we got some fights going on in the chat. Well, I'll let you all duke it out in the chat. Just, don't get too crazy. All right, so let's talk about a couple of the things that have happened in the space since yesterday. Of course, yesterday was a green day for crypto. So is today. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, kind of my thoughts on the marketplace. Of course, we did have the Fed meeting yesterday. I'll kind of give some commentary towards the end of the stream, but want to talk about a few more kind of tech-related things up here. So one cool project that I saw come out yesterday was actually this. So one of the big, let's see here. Sorry, let me pull it up on my screen here. So one of the big promises for Web 3.0 applications is what we can do with social media, okay? And actually, I'm going to show you a cool, what I would say is maybe a proof of concept for this, okay? We've seen lots of players kind of jump into the social media space. I think a lot of people know that social media is essentially broken. That even if the more sort of insider people who are maybe more technically inclined, like a lot of people watching this channel, kind of understand how the social media game works, where basically you have a product that you're getting for free, and in return, basically, you are you are the product. So basically, you use Facebook for free, and in return, they sell your information to advertisers. They show you ads. And, that's sort of the trade-off there. That's the Web 2.0 business model. And one of the promises of Web 3.0 is it has the ability to reinvent, or the promise, I should say, to reinvent the business model of the internet, okay? And so, let's see here. Sorry, I had a tweet pull up on my screen here that was trying to show you how this works. So basically, we're seeing lots of people jump in the space trying to fix this with Web 3.0. One of the promises of Web 3.0 is basically censorship resistance, the ability to own your own data, so that you retain your own identity. It doesn't belong to a social network where they can just take it, do whatever they want to do with it, sell your information, exploit it, whatever. And we're starting to see some pushes in that direction. And I saw a cool example of this come out yesterday that I want to talk to you about. So we've seen other social media protocols come out. Sorry, I'm pulling this up. Like the Aave. Aave released the Lens protocol. This is the founder of Aave. So Aave is the most popular decentralized applications out there. They released a social media protocol called the Lens protocol. That's not what I want to talk to you about right now. I actually want to show you a different one. Let's see here. Actually saw this on, I was watching my buddy Anthony Sassano's channel for the Daily Way. Definitely go check that out. And he mentioned this too. So I want a full shout out to Anthony for tipping me off to this one. All right, so this is a proof of concept for a decentralized YouTube, okay, which is pretty awesome. All right, let me show you this on my screen here. So this is an open source Web3 version of YouTube, all right, live on the Polygon blockchain that you can go give it a shot and actually test it out and use it, okay? So it's called OurTube. And you can see a demo of what it looks like here. Basically, it looks like the YouTube user interface. Okay, you can see the videos there. They store the videos on IPFS, so it's a distributed file storage system. Okay, you can upload videos straight to there. Uses React.js Solidity ethers if you're IPFS and with an Alchemy node. Okay. So you can actually use a GitHub link. Like I said, it's open source. You can go fork it. You can go play around with it. If you're a developer, you want to get your hands dirty and create your own version of this, or just even look at the code and see what the implementation looks like. This is a great project. Like if you're trying to build a portfolio too. Be a lot of amazing learnings in here. It'd be cool to see where this goes. Okay, so definitely go check this out. I think we definitely are ready for some Web 3.0 social media, potentially around something like YouTube, because I think a lot of people worry about the, censorship on social media, and that's definitely a category that's prime for disruption. Okay, so let's look about somebody will be doing updated projects to build for your portfolio in 22. That's a good idea. Yeah, we could probably do that. This would be a good example though, for sure. So how would the price of Ethereum be affected by Ethereum 2.0? Well, actually, whenever Ethereum 2.0 ships, like the merge, so basically it's in multiple phases. Whenever the merge happens, we're going to take this Ethereum 2.0 beacon chain and merge it back into Ethereum 1.0. So whenever that happens, ETH is going to become deflationary. Okay, so if you look at this website like Ultrasound Money, okay, basically this shows you, we're burning ETH now whenever new transactions are created. So basically, like if I send a cryptocurrency from my account to yours, and that transaction happens, you pay a base fee and a minor tip, and the base fee gets burnt, it gets erased from the network. And whenever proof of stake turns on, the ETH issuance is going to drop. So the amount of ETH that's actually created by the blockchain whenever new transactions are created is going to reduce. And so the issuance is actually going to offset the amount of ETH burn. And you can see that here. You can simulate the merge. At the current level of network activity, that means ETH will be negative 1.1% inflationary per year, 1.1% deflationary, which basically means there's going to be less ETH. And as long as there's the same demand, that would have a positive impact on the price of Ether. Okay, so let's talk about kind of what happened yesterday. Surrounding the sort of economic scene here. So I don't get too far off in the woods on this. All right, I don't want to get too excited, but I think there's a lot of people, who are watching what's happening in the crypto market, saying like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And I kind of give you a few of my thoughts on this. All right, again, this is not. I don't claim to know exactly what's going to happen next. As I've continued to say since the beginning of the year, I'm still cautiously optimistic about where this space is going to be headed on a longer term time horizon. But the short term, it's very hard to tell. Okay, we are seeing some relief, some green in the markets. One factor for sure can be what happened yesterday with the results of the Fed meeting. Okay, so basically, we've been in limbo about this for a long time. The central bank of the United States it's been a big question mark about what they're going to do with their monetary policy over the coming months. All right, and I think that's one of the big factors why we saw a lot of fear enter into the marketplace at the beginning of the year. Okay, in addition to the conflict we've seen in Europe, for sure, don't want to minimize any of that. Multiple factors on the table here. It's affected stock market, it's affected crypto, it's affected everybody. It's not just a crypto problem. And there's been a big question mark. What's the Fed going to do? So yesterday we got more clarity on that, okay? So basically the intention now is that we're going to have a quarter basis point rate hike. All right, that's going to be the first one. And my understanding is that we're probably going to have about 7 rate hikes in 2022, bringing us up about 1.75%, maybe 2% if there's a double hike in there somewhere. So I think what we're seeing right now across the board from like stocks, crypto, everything, essentially is my thoughts about this heading into the meeting were that as long as there's no crazy surprises, it's probably going to be at least fine. Okay. My sort of the bearish case for the Fed meeting yesterday before we had it was if there's a big thing that comes out of left field that nobody expected, that's what would be bad. But most likely, the marketplaces had kind of priced in rate hikes earlier in the year, or like the uncertainty of what the Fed was going to do. And as long as we didn't see anything really, really horrible, then it's probably going to be fine. And I think that's what's happening. Okay, again, I don't claim to know exactly what's going to happen with prices in the short term. Markets are very complicated. There's always lots of factors. It does kind of seem like my read on what's happening in the media is that a lot of the peak fear between what's going on in the world plus that is maybe the peak fear is past us, but it's hard to know for sure. All right, so let's talk about a couple other things here. Look at. So what kind of a business opportunity I can create by being a blockchain developer? There are lots of different business ideas that you could create. You can definitely check out my video on this. I did it a while back on different business ideas you can create as a Web 3.0 developer. My thought is that what you should always do is go after something that accomplishes multiple purposes. So definitely try to, a couple of thoughts on this. Number one, if you're trying to create a business as a blockchain developer, and you've never created a business before, a successful one, which is most likely the case if you're just a developer, it's not a bad thing, and that's the most likely scenario. The best thing to do is not try to reinvent, or is not try to come up with a business idea that's so creative, that you don't want to you don't want to try to create something that's never been done before. Probably, okay. The most likely chance of success that you have is to try to create a business that's kind of already like a solved problem, or you can just create a business that does kind of what somebody else has already done. Here's why. If you've never started a business before, it's a lot harder than it looks, and you're going to increase the likelihood of success by modeling what somebody else has already done rather than having to reinvent the wheel. Because it's like the saying goes, ideas are pawns, but execution is king. You can come up with a bazillion ideas that sound so creative, and a lot of people have this fallacy. They think that I need the most creative, original idea in order to be successful. That's absolutely not true, okay? The real thing is the execution and making it work. That's the hard part of starting a business, so that's what I would focus on. So what could you do? You could start, the easiest thing to do in terms of a business is just what is the definition of a business? Something that is out there that makes money through a service or a product, right? It's not just you trading your time for money. That's a freelancer or an employee, okay? Or a consultant. So the easiest business, bar none, to start is like an NFT, like just doing an NFT drop and putting it out there. You could do that in the afternoon. Now, there's a lot of noise, a lot of NFTs may not be successful, but what's the downside risk of that? Well, a little bit of your time, okay? But then you also have something to show for it. You have something you use for a portfolio. You learn something, you got knowledge. So even if it doesn't have the exact desired outcome that you want, then you still limited your downside risk and still got something of value out of it for sure. So other businesses like that are solved problems that are relatively easy on the grand scheme of things to create as a blockchain developer, where having those skills gives you an advantage. Like a staking business. There's all these infrastructure, providers out there where you can run protocols, set up nodes. A lot of people don't want to run their own nodes. You could do it for them, all right? And if you're talking about a business that's actually sellable, a node is a business. If you got that thing running, some nodes require reputation, like Chainlink, for example. So that's part of the value that you can create as a developer, as a business owner, is create something that if it needs reputation, it's been there for a long time, you can get it up, get it running, sell it to somebody else. You know what I mean? There's lots of examples like that. Where you can use your technical skills to an advantage to create some kind of business. Go check out that video. It's on my YouTube video stream. Somebody says it could cause a drop in the ETH price if lots available to sell that time. Long-term ETH 2.0 should influence adoption to increase. So that is a good counterpoint. So somebody's asked me what's the price impact of ETH 2.0 on ETH through the asset itself. So I talked about how ETH can become deflationary, and that would likely as I should have clarified, long-term have a positive impact on the price of ETH, assuming that the demand stays the same or goes up. Short-term though, that's a good caveat in the chat, which is whenever ETH 2.0 comes out and the merge happens, at least that part of ETH 2.0, that's what I mean here, is this next phase, that all that ETH is going to become liquid, shortly after. So there is some suggestion that that's going to be a sell the news event where everybody who had ETH locked up is now going to take it. Not everybody, but lots of people are, and they're going to dump it on the marketplace, and that's all going to hit the circulating supply and then be for sale. So there's some counter arguments to that. There's other people who think that no, those people have skin in the game and fewer are going to sell than you think. I think it largely depends on where we are in the market cycle. If we're at the pico top of a bull run, it seems more likely. But if we're in the, let's say worst case scenario, we do go in some kind of real crazy, bearish winter, which I'm still don't think that's going to happen. Then yeah, maybe not. ETH is garbage. Thank you for that constructive comment, Ivan. Somebody says 189 watching and only 4 likes. Come on. That's what happens right now. That's just sort of the nature of the space. Anybody who talks about crypto, blockchain, Web 3.0 on YouTube, everybody, like, the interest is way down. You can tell it's a pretty good indication of how people feel about the crypto markets, at least retail investors. So the moral of that story is, if you're here watching this right now, you are right where you need to be. Okay, like part of the key to succeeding in crypto is when everybody checks out, that's when you need to pay attention, okay? Because you can position yourself and get yourself 2 steps ahead. So trust me, I was here during the 2018 bear market that everybody has post-traumatic stress syndrome about, okay? I started my YouTube channel in January of 2018, okay? Got into space 2017, started on YouTube in 2018. A lot of people say, you're absolutely crazy. That's the worst time in the world to start a YouTube channel about crypto, all right? And you might be right in the short term, but over the long term, what did I do? Well, I doubled down on my technical skills during that time, built up my YouTube channel, built a bunch of real-world blockchain projects for other people who were really smart and were here in the space and were saying, like, hey, yeah, this stuff's the future. We're still going to be making bets on this. And I got a ton of, experience that helped me become, what I can do now, which is help a lot of other people. And, I have expertise that would take most people years and years and years to acquire. And I acquired it super early and got ahead of all of that. And that's a similar opportunity that everybody watching this video has on the table, is like, when everybody else decided to check out in crypto, if you double down and you start learning like crazy, you start maybe placing your bets, you're going to be light years ahead of everybody else who wants to get in after the next wave of excitement comes back in. And if you're in that position, then you're just behind. Okay. So you don't want to be with the herd. You want to be doing the opposite of what the herd is doing, especially if you have high conviction where the technology is going. And guess what? That doesn't require you to buy cryptocurrency. Okay. I always say the best investment that you can make in this space is in yourself. One of the best ways to make life-changing money with crypto is to double down on your technical skills, because blockchain is one of the highest paying fields in tech. The demand for talent in this space is absolutely insane. That's not drying up anytime soon. We just saw yesterday how Consensus just raised $450 million to have a $7 billion valuation. And guess what? A lot of that money is going towards hiring technical talent. All right, we saw all the open job postings. We're seeing story after story after story of this, all this venture capital coming into space because they know what's next for crypto, despite what's happening short term with the price action in the marketplace. And you can definitely capitalize on that trend by paying attention to crypto right now and getting in early still while everybody else has decided to pack up their toys and go home. That's the smart thing to do. Somebody says, terrible for likes, though always watch the videos. Well, go ahead and smash that like button. That really does help the videos out. Somebody says, it's fine, not everybody's going to make it. Yeah, totally. I mean, some people are here just short term for the gains. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with wanting to get in the space to make any money. That's not any condemnation for anybody. You can be in it for the money. That's totally fine. But for the vast majority of people, what I really want to help people do is show them another way, because that's what I think is going to be most likely to help others, is to actually gain a skill that can feed you for life rather than get a short-term gain with some crypto. So this is a quick question. Am I still teaching you how to do flash loans? Yep, totally. Somebody says maybe our tube should have something like Super Chat enabling creator contributions in crypto. Yeah, that'd be a cool idea for sure. I think there's lots of different ways where you could take a Web 3.0 application, or like a any Web 2.0 application and port it over to Web 3 and start introducing new ways to make it cool and useful and relevant. We've seen that. We've seen other crypto social networks in the past, like Steam, or Steemit, I should say. With varying degrees of success. Some stuff's not going to work. Like we've pushed some stuff out in the water and it doesn't always float. But I still think that there's potential to retry some of these old ideas that maybe didn't work initially. Okay. Some ideas aren't just wrong. They're just early. And, a lot of people's idea for, social media was just like, hey, add a token to it, add financial incentives for social media. And some people say, hey, that's just broken. It adds the wrong incentives. But maybe we just didn't get it quite right. Or maybe some of that was just too early before we had these other things figured out. And so maybe other people didn't want to use this other thing in its own proprietary blockchain. Maybe they want to use it on a blockchain where they're already doing other stuff like Ethereum, or something else that has a lot of other apps that can plug into where they don't have to change networks and do all this. They already trust it. They already have a wallet set up. And then you could use a social network over here. Maybe it's NFT based and then that NFT works over here. Or maybe it does have some sort of financial incentives in it where you can use those tokens and then you can pull those tokens out of the app and instantly go leverage them on a DeFi app or something, right? We didn't have any of those possibilities before. When you're with these early social media experiments that sort of had these things that quote unquote didn't work or failed, maybe it's because we just lacked a few critical features and maybe they were just too early. So I definitely think there's ways we could potentially speculate with those types of features and come back. That's what this person was saying in the chat about, super chats. Could you have a super chat with an OurTube decentralized social media where there was some financial incentives there? Potentially. Hey, I got a great idea for anybody watching this video. It's open source. Just take it and then add on more features. Somebody said, hey, how can I launch a Web 3.0 business? Well, check the license agreement on, let's see what the license agreement is on OurTube. MIT license, okay? So basically, yeah, totally. If you have any doubt, you could definitely reach out to Suhail, I hope I'm saying his name right, sorry, on Twitter. And if you had any questions or clarification, you could add features. You could add a pull request for this project. You could fork your own. But there's lots of things you could do. You would add token incentives to a decentralized YouTube. There you go. You want to be a developer. That's another thing. One of the things I say all the time is how do you prepare yourself to become a real-world blockchain developer is basically you could take an existing project and then build something that doesn't have a feature already. Because ultimately, whenever you want to have real-world skills, what you have to do is learn how to solve problems with code. Okay, and so one thing you can do is you could try to create something from scratch, all right, unguided after you've done tutorials. Let's say you wanted to build a decentralized YouTube. You could just try to figure out how to do that from scratch and then just create it, right? Just think about how to write the code to solve that problem. Or you could just take an app and then build a new feature on it because it's going to force you into solving those problems with code. So you could say hey, here's this decentralized YouTube thing. It doesn't have a super chat feature with crypto. How do I add that? And then you literally just sit down and think through it step by step. What do I need? Okay, I need a cryptocurrency. I need to get that cryptocurrency to send it to somebody else. How do I write the code to do that? I need to click a button that sends the cryptocurrency to the creator and then they read my super chat. How do I do that, right? Have I seen other things that look similar to that? This would be a great example of something you could do, and then you could add that to your portfolio. Of course, you want to give credit to where you got the original code from. You don't want to rip somebody's code off, but that would be a fine use of something like this. Okay. All right, everybody. That's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how you can get started today. Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, Actually, become a blockchain master step by step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Hence, next time, thanks for watching.